Is Coastal Carolina's Grayson McCall underrated? It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. The channel continues to grow. Thank you so much. Like 50 new subscribers since the beginning of SEC Media Days. Still hoping to get to 400 by the end of Monday, before August 1st. And then it's a race to 500 subscribers for the season. We do have 3 of the coaches lined up for next week. We'll see if we can continue to get that. It is a little bit awkward asking the people I'm interviewing to do it again, but one was for radio and one is for this. I don't have the setup or know-how right now to do it both at the same time. So figured we just do radio for 103.3 The GOAT at Sunbelt Media Days, and we'll get these guys in their offices at the beginning of camp, kind of the what are we expecting this season? And then later on in the year, hopefully after a win, they come on and we discuss what went well, what's went wrong, what they need to improve on. If anything's gone wrong, you never know. All right, so we'll get to Grayson McCall here in a second. Where the Sun Belt won't go, I have a few suggestions on where they won't expand, and others saying the obvious as well. And camps are opening up this week. But I did want to talk to one of the last guys we spoke to on, I guess it would have been Wednesday. In fact, it was. My show starts at 3. I'm getting the Coastal Carolina guys at like 2:47. And you got to be talking to the 3-time Sun Belt Player of the Year and Grayson McCall. Lots to discuss. We only had about 5-6 minutes with him, but he was gracious with his time. First and foremost, he's done. This is the last year. There is no more Grayson McCall in the Sun Belt. So opponents don't have to worry about that. He is finishing up his college career. He's going to, I thought he said he's going to graduate here soon. And, but he's done. He's not coming back. So that's the good news if you're everybody else but Coastal Carolina. All right. We also discussed, he did it a little bit different than most. A lot of guys go into the portal and don't play in the bowl game. He went into the portal and said he was going to play in the bowl game last year. I think it was in Birmingham. And he made it quite clear to his teammates, I got to go into the portal now. If I want to go in, I can't wait until after the bowl game, but I am going to play in the bowl game. Got hurt. They lost the bowl game, yada, yada, yada. And then he decided to come back. Jamie Chadwell moved on, and he decided to come back. That, Tim Beck, his first big-time recruit, was the 3-time Sun Belt Player of the Year, and he's a good one, and they are changing up the offense. They had that triple option RPO, with a pass. We call it a freeze option in Syracuse, New York. But he's really good at running it. And my question is Grayson McCall underrated? So JMU, which took the Sun Belt by storm, breaking in a new quarterback, picked first in the division. App State, breaking in a new quarterback, picked second in the division. Coastal Carolina, with the 3-time Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Year, picked third. How is that feasible? And you try to compare him to some others. Obviously, Lincoln Riley's offense and Caleb Williams at USC, different level. All right. Probably Drake May, the same thing. But you look at some of those other guys on the Jane Brugger, and we're going to refer to this throughout the year. Dane Brugger for The Athletic does a great job on the draft, and he's always ahead of the ball game. And he's got a list of 20 senior quarterbacks, and Grayson McCall is on that. But he's like 16th. He is 16th, one spot ahead of Carter Bradley at South Alabama. Here's the thing. Bo Nix had a pretty good year last year. All right, his first one in Oregon. Almost 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So that's 4-1. That's really good. Except, we can find it here. Grayson McCall only has 8 interceptions in his entire career. It is ridiculous. Where do they do that? Got like 78 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in his entire career. Now, he runs the ball as well. He doesn't have those incredible passing yards because he does run the ball as well. But he threw 2 interceptions last year, 3 interceptions the 2 years prior to that, each year. So I guess he got 8 interceptions in 3 seasons. Played a little bit in 19, but that was the redshirt year. Now, he doesn't have the amount of attempts. Let's see. He's at 297 attempts. And let's see what Bo Nix did. Bo Nix did about 100 more. So that's not bad. Again, Bo Nix had a good year. Bo Nix had a great year. 72%, 3,600 yards. 8.8 average per attempt. Let's see what Grayson McCall's was. Grayson McCall was 9. He's got 24 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So as great as Bo Nix's stats were, and they were good, his 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, they weren't 12-to-1. In 21, he had 27 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So not quite 12-to-1, but pretty good. Almost 12 yards per completion. Or I'm sorry, per attempt, as it turns out. In 2021, 73% and 2,873 yards. Again, he does the running compared to some of these other guys, right? And Bo Nix is a good scrambler, but he doesn't run intentionally for the most part. And they've had a balanced offense at Coastal Carolina for the last 3 years. He's thrown 250 passes, 241 passes, and 297 passes. That's not a lot. But his completion percentage, 69, 73, and 70. He has thrown 8 interceptions in some 800 pass attempts. And he's listed 16th on this list. Not downplaying Dane Brugler's list, God forbid, but Michael Penix Jr., he's 3rd on this. This is a great list because there are a ton of senior quarterbacks, and I feel bad for my guy, Jim Nagy, at the Senior Bowl, how he's going to narrow this list down to 6. All right. Michael Penix Jr., goes from Indiana to Washington, has a spectacular season, right? 4,641 yards, throws it almost every play, 554 attempts, 8 interceptions. Now, that's pretty good, compared to, right? He threw it another 150 more attempts than Bo Nix, only had 1 more interception, but his TD to interception ratio is 31-8. That's 4-to-1. And his average per attempt is 8.4. Jaden Daniels on this list. I don't have him up here. Jaden Daniels on this list feels a little bit like potential because his numbers are not mind-blowing by any means. This has got to be about potential more than anything else. He threw for 17 touchdowns. The most he's ever thrown for is 17 touchdowns. And he had a good year last year for LSU. Almost 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's really good. Jaden Daniels is, the touchdowns a little bit low, 17 touchdowns. New system, new coach, new everything. We'll cut him some slack. But Jaden Daniels is 4th. Joe Milton has lost his job twice. Michigan, and couldn't win it in Tennessee. He's 5th. Now, that may be a little bit of an exception because he's got a ridiculous arm. We'll see how good he is. We got Austin Reed, who led the nation in passing yards last year, Western Kentucky. Michael Pratt is at Tulane. South Alabama, we'll see them opening week. Spencer Rattler at South Carolina. Spencer Rattler? You want to hear some of these numbers for Spencer Rattler? Now, also, new system, right? Last year, 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Threw 100 more passes. 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. His average attempt was 7.6. I'm telling you, Grayson McCall is severely underrated, and I don't know why. It's got to be perception because of the Sun Belt, right? Bo Nix is in the Pac-12. Whatever you think of them, it's still Power 5-ish. Spencer Rattler, the Big 12 and the SEC. Michael Penix, the Big 10 and the Pac-12. And And it doesn't feel like Grayson McCall is getting as much love as he should. All right. Now, whether he can be everyone always wants to, can you be an all-pro? Is he a starting quarterback in the NFL? That's for other people to decide. I'm one of those guys, you can tell me what I'm looking at, and I'm still not going to know. I'm just basing it on his production, and his production is pretty solid. He probably is worth about 3,500 yards with the running, and then, a handful of touchdowns as well. So he's closer to 30 touchdowns. I think Grayson McCall is severely underrated. And if he can lift Coastal Carolina to the next level, if he can lift them back to where they were as the top team in the East and maybe contend for the Sun Belt title, which nobody would be surprised of, he's going to get a lot more run towards the end of the season and towards the Senior Bowl and the draft. There's going to be a ton of guys drafted, and then there's going to be like, why wasn't that guy taken? There are a ton of, this has to do with COVID and everything along those lines, but there are a ton of quarterbacks going to be available for next season. All right, let's take a timeout. We will be back. We'll talk about the camps opening up and what we can expect. It is I guess a bonus episode, if you will, of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Let's talk a little bit about eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your vehicle to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Camps opening up this week. Raging Cajuns having a little media session on Wednesday. I am scheduled to get Mike Desimo, the head coach of the Raging Cajuns, Wednesday morning. So we'll play that on Thursday. Right now, not to jinx it, Michael Huff will record on Monday, and Ricky Ronnie on Tuesday, and Mike Desimo on Wednesday. Again, the idea is to get these guys in, previewing the camp, and see where they are heading into camp, what their expectations are. I don't know if you ever get, legitimate expectations. I think it would be, for example, a little bit much if Ricky Ronnie says we're fighting for a championship. That does not appear to be realistic. Doesn't mean they can't win. Doesn't mean they can't compete. But they're riding a 6-game losing streak that very easily could find themselves 9-game losing streak. They could go a full 12 months without winning a football game, almost. Because I think that game against Texas A&M Commerce is still in September. But what do they start off with? Virginia Tech, then the Cajuns, and then Wake, although that's at home. So, to get the expectations is, to me, for Old Dominion, execute, compete, scare some teams, and maybe get a win or two that you're not expecting to get. To think that Old Dominion is going to compete for a championship is, I guess when you're competing, you think you can, right? But I'm not sure if that's completely legitimate, all right? Winning some games would be a good first step. Maybe they win one of those first 3 games. That'd be a big first step. That would certainly give you a lot of confidence. Doesn't matter who it is. And in ODU's case, it'd be much better to win the game against the Cajuns to set yourself up in the Sun Belt. Maybe you find something. Maybe you lose a close ball game to Wake or Virginia Tech, and you start out 1-2 with a win over the Cajuns, and all of a sudden you can move on and take that into, the Sun Belt season. You beat the Cajuns, then you beat Texas A&M Commerce. All of a sudden you're 2-2, and then you can go on from there. So we'll see. So we'll see if we ever get some legit things. It doesn't matter if it's, all the players were saying they're fighting for a championship, and only got a few minutes, so I'm not going to say, really? Are you sure? I understand that's the theory, but I'm not sure. A lot of teams breaking in new quarterbacks, right? JMU's breaking in a new quarterback. App State breaking in a new quarterback. Marshall wants their quarterback to get to, a little bit better of a level. Troy wants to break it, wants their quarterback to be a little bit more consistent. Will Ben Woldridge be healthy? He's got to come over the physical issues, but now the mental issues, right? Who is going to win the battle of transfers at Southern Miss? And then, is TJ Finley going to be the quarterback, or Malik Hornsby going to be the quarterback at Texas State? It feels like ULM's got their quarterback. I believe Arkansas State has their quarterback for the most part. Georgia Southern has their quarterback, right? Davis Blinn. We've been over that with Coach Clay Helton. And I think there's a fight for it at Georgia State. So I do appreciate everybody who has confidence coming into camp, right? Everybody's even. You never know, right? JMU was picked 6th last year and wins the division. Sunbelt people didn't know what was going on. I also agree with Craig Stevenson of AL.com, thinking that coaches may do chalk more than anything else. And maybe that's why Troy got picked to win the division compared to South Alabama. Still trying to figure out the 7.5. That's going to be brutal. We're going to wait. My odds are not going to be great, by the way. I'm going to wait until the end of the the training camp to make that bet. But we will bet that the Jaguars are going to go over 7.5 wins. That's for sure. And I'm looking at the rundown we did in a different order. Hang with me. So looking forward to the camps opening up. We will have those coaches on, at least those 3. Everybody said, sure, no problem. I think App State reached out to me, got back to me. Georgia State got back to me. And it's good to see the SIDs, face to face. So it's a big help, and it is just promoting, their brand. So they help to promote Locked On Sunbelt, and I help to promote them. So one hand washes the other, I guess. Is that the saying? So it helps each other out, and I do appreciate it. All right, let's take one more time out. We'll actually come back and say where the Sunbelt will not go. Yeah, I did the rundown out of order. We'll be back after this on Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Let me tell you a little bit about LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Dave Schultz back on Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. We did the rundown slightly out of order. I do apologize. Got some great feedback on the previous episode on where we can actually go down through some of these comments on where the Sunbelt should look to expand. East Carolina, Tulsa, Memphis, Tulane, UAB, UTSA. Bob Markey says, believe they're already in a better conference than the Sunbelt. He says the AAC is not better, but has much more lucrative media contract. Why would they take what they consider to be a step down? All right, let's see. We had others talk about Florida. All right. Let's see here. Vintage Bat Collector 248. Great video. Thank you. I'm trying to be realistic about what teams the Sunbelt can really bring into the conference. I believe that East Carolina and UNC Charlotte would be a perfect fit for the Eastern Division. And I believe Memphis and Tulane are obvious choices for the Western Division. This would also bring back some traditional rivalries, and the Sunbelt would keep their footprint as a regional conference. I realize Tulane is a prestigious and private institution, but keep in mind Tulane was a charter member of Conference USA, and the Sunbelt is no doubt a step up what's left of the current CUSA. Tulane does not have a very large fan base. Tulane should embrace the state rivalries with Louisiana and Monroe. The Tulane LSU football series is off the table right now. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out and how long it will take for the Sun Belt to expand again. All right. Bob Markey also, FIU would put the Sun Belt in Florida again. FIU is a huge school and a huge market. Playing in Florida helps the Sun Belt recruiting. Many Sun Belt teams, including Troy and Marshall, have large Florida alumni bases, which love their teams to play in the Sunshine State. Okay. So Tulane, all right, and FIU are two places that I would love Tulane in the Sun Belt. I think that would be perfect. It would be a great rivalry for the Cajuns, a good rivalry for others. Southern Miss, but and Monroe, I guess, but really close to the Cajuns, 2 hours away, and South Alabama for that fact of the matter. But it's not going to happen. Tulane wants nothing to do with the Cajuns. It is a private institution. I don't know if it fits into the Sun Belt. They really don't want to be connected to Louisiana. It is what it is. I would love to be there. As for Florida, so this is where teams look to go, like the Big Ten, right? They went and got Maryland for the DC market. They went and got Rutgers for the New York market. And that's great. But FIU just does not rank. It really doesn't. You're not going to get a cable deal to give you more money for FIU when nobody in Miami cares about FIU. They barely care about the Hurricanes. I mean, they do, but we'll see. All right. So, FAU has better, I think, better coverage in Boca, right? Lane Kiffin was there, and now Tom Herman is there. I just don't think FIU is worth it. I understand the rationale behind it. I guess it would help out recruiting. I don't think the Sun Belt is looking to expand for TV markets. Like if you get into Charlotte, that's a great TV market. Maybe East Carolina fits better, right? So I mean, do we have big TV markets in the Sun Belt? That's not what the Sun Belt is built on, TV markets, or even fertile recruiting bases. You're looking for rivalries and rivalries and teams that are close by. That's what you're looking for. And the teams that they brought in, Marshall, ODU, JMU, and now Southern Miss, right? Southern Miss has a long time, at least baseball rivalry with the Cajuns, and I think that's great. And maybe that's going to be the Cajuns' rival in the immediate future. But I don't think – and then Memphis is looking to go to the Big 12, so they're not hopping into the Sun Belt anytime soon. I do happen to think that we're going to find out rather sooner than later, and I'm going to guess by the end of next week who is going to be the next Big 12 team, maybe from the Pac-12 or maybe from the Group of Five, and we'll see what dominoes that has an effect of. But I don't think it's FIU. I would love it to be Tulane, but it's not going to be Tulane. It's not going to be La Tech. I find that humorous and immature all at the same time. La Tech didn't want anything to do with the Sun Belt. Now that La Tech needs help, the Sun Belt doesn't want anything to do with them. It would be a great rivalry. That would be a tremendous rivalry in all the sports for the state of Louisiana. And they need it. The Cajuns, Southern Miss is it. The Cajuns don't have a real rival. La Tech would be that real rival. So we'll see. Again, this has all just started Tuesday, right? It all just started not last Tuesday, Wednesday, even sooner than that, or more recent than that, is when this ball got rolling, and it is rolling downhill fast. All right. And then Saturday down south, mentioned Florida State wants out of the ACC. Where are they going? Are they going Big 12? I don't think they're going SEC. I do not think they're going SEC. They don't know. They don't really want part of that. That is not what they want anytime soon. They're doing a good job for the ACC. I'm not so sure if they're at the SEC level just yet. They would take some hits. There is, you can get some easier games in the ACC, not so much in the SEC. All right. There are very few Vanderbilts in the SEC, where there seems to be more than a handful, maybe in the ACC. All right. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Thanks very much for tuning in. Again, next week, so far, we got 3 of the coaches. We're hoping to get all 14 coaches on Locked On Sunbelt to preview their camps and their seasons. And then we'll try to only bother them once a year. Hopefully, now we've made some good connections. We can get some players on as well. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. Almost at 400 subscribers. And then we will do that race for 500 and give away at least a t-shirt, a Locked On Sunbelt t-shirt for the 500th subscriber. Although that's not really fair to the 500th subscriber, right? It needs to be to anybody, right? So I don't know how I'm going to put everyone's name in the hat, but we'll figure it out. It is Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. Thanks very much for tuning in and continue to enjoy your weekend.